This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com with my weekly Wrestling Observer review a little later than normal this week, but I'll be quite frank with you. I've been in Phoenix and I really could care less about the professional wrestling world this week. I've been enjoying myself in the hot desert sun. Did a great 2.5 hour shoot interview on top of a mountain with Dan the Beast Severn. I also did an interview for members only live stream with Demolition Axe Friday night, and that was really good. Thank God he recovered from COVID at his age. It is a dangerous disease for someone of his age. But I'll jump into the news. Butch Reed, who I did an interview with in 2019, up here free on the Hannibal TV, passed away last week, sadly, because unfortunately he had suffered 2 major heart attacks that he never recovered from, and he passed away February the 5th at the age of 66. It was a difficult interview that I did with him. He was showing some signs of being sick at the time I interviewed him, because you can tell watching the interview. It was supposed to be a 2-hour interview, and he was done after an hour. He didn't want to go on any longer. But I liked him nonetheless, and I'm very sad to hear he passed away. Unfortunately, Rusty Brooks also passed away, he was mainly known as an enhancement talent. He died on February 11th, at the age of 63. He had been undergoing kidney dialysis for a while, and he was in a wheelchair. So sorry to hear about his passing. He hadn't been wrestling since 2013. He had matches against Hogan, Andre the Giant, and others. One of his matches against Hogan was featured on some of the WWE Coliseum video releases that came out in the 80s. That's what I remember him best for. Devon Dudley, who is 48 years old, revealed that he had suffered a stroke and is recovering from a stroke. John Cena, who will not be on this year's WrestleMania due to the US-Canada border restrictions. His Wipeout show debuts on TBS on April the 4th. It's going to air Thursdays at 9 p.m. And in Davey Boy Smith Jr. news, sorry, I'm going to have to pull this up. Not only is he wrestling against the Blood Hunter February the 27th in Carthage, Texas, but he was in the news today saying that he has been in talks with WWE about possibly coming to NXT UK. However, due to COVID, there has been some issues with these talks, but he will be inducting his father, Davey Boy Smith, into the WWE Hall of Fame. And it's likely something's going to be worked out by them, according to the Wrestling Observer. And yeah, he's going to be wrestling the Blood Hunter at SWE Fury. February the 27th in Carthage, Texas, which might just be the hardest hitting match in all of professional wrestling in the year 2021. In ratings news, AEW did a 0.29 rating this week. NXT, led by the so-called genius Triple H, did only a 0.12. People say he's such a great booker, but he loses by a landslide every single week to AEW and has access to a lot more resources than AEW has. Raw did a 0.49. SmackDown did a 0.6. Dustin Rhodes claimed that he spoke to Terry Funk, and he says that Terry Funk isn't doing too well. Now, of course, Terry Funk is supposed to be on the Carthage, Texas SWE Fury show February 27th. And for the record, I have heard from SWE Fury management, he has not officially backed out of this event yet. But it came to my attention today that SWE Fury actually airs in Jacksonville. And I heard over the last few days, if you add up all of SWE Fury's syndication viewership, they actually get more viewers than Impact. But in looking at this syndication chart, SWE Fury does in fact air in Jacksonville, Florida. So isn't it funny that Dustin Rhodes put out this message about praying for Terry Funk? Could he be seeing SWE Fury as competition? Who knows? You never know in the wrestling business. I do know that Dustin Rhodes is a slime ball from my dealings with him, a total slime ball who I would literally beat the living shit out of in the ring. In UFC news, Ariel Helwani reported that UFC is working on a Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor rematch. No word on if it'll be a title fight or not. He also confirmed that, according to he reported this to TMZ, that John Jones will face the winner of the Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou heavyweight title fight. And John Jones could be facing the winner of that fight as early as the summer. He also says he's going out for dinner with Khabib soon. There's a chance Khabib will fight again. In Bellator news, former Bellator featherweight champion David Strauss was arrested on February 5th on charges of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and is being held on a $100,000 bond. According to the arrest, Strauss and a female victim who had been in an on-again, off-again intimate relationship for years, but this victim said they had an argument, and apparently she walked outside of her parked car with the intention of leaving this argument she was having with Strauss, but he got into the car and refused to leave. She said she left the vehicle and Strauss followed her. The two started arguing, and it escalated. She claimed Strauss pushed her and she pushed him back. She claimed that she was struck multiple times by Strauss and fell to the ground, that he got in the car and fled from the scene. She later received multiple calls from Strauss saying he was going to her apartment. She said that she drove to Strauss's residence hoping to get the keys to her apartment, and that when there, Strauss returned the keys, and in the course of another argument, he threatened to stab her and push her out the door. And yeah, it's a big mess with this character. Lots of aggressive personalities in the world of mixed martial arts. Not a huge news week this week, but God bless Butch Reed. I'll get into some of your questions. Dan O'Malley watching on Facebook says I look sunburned. Well, I have been on a mountain, been mountain climbing in Phoenix, Arizona. This amazing city that I absolutely love. Unapologetic Ronan says apparently nobody's getting a bonus in WWE. They don't deserve any bonuses with the shitty ratings that they have, in my opinion. Mike G says RIP to Butch Reed. Mike D is missing Piper. Mike D, it's Piper's birthday today. She actually turns 9 years old today, and I'm missing her birthday, sadly, because I'm here in Arizona and she's back in Canada. We have a fan watching on our Great North Wrestling Twitter account. Mystic Surik is sad about all these wrestlers passing away. Captain Resell is thinking about moving to the Northeast, maybe by the Canada line. How close is my Canadian wrestling company? Well, if anyone knows where Ogdensburg, New York is, my company is based only about 45 minutes from Ogdensburg, New York, 3 hours or so from Syracuse, New York. And I hope we can run again, but the way things are going in Canada, it's seriously just like a prison there. And yes, I am at higher risk of catching COVID here in the US, but if I catch it, I'll deal with it. I'd rather have my fucking freedom. Someone mentions Terry Funk has been sick forever and keeps going on. I agree. Dusan says cheers. Dan O'Malley, former professional wrestler and professional boxer who works with the Hall of Fame there, the Arnold Hall of Fame in Columbus, Ohio. By the way, SWE Fury does air in Columbus, Ohio, and I know they are thinking of going there for events once this whole lockdown situation settles down. And Dan says, Blood Hunter is a vicious and violent, crippling machine. I agree with that. And I'm looking forward to seeing Blood Hunter in action against Harry Smith. By the way, Justin Credible is no longer hardcore. He's a chicken. He literally ran away from the Blood Hunter. Didn't even finish the match with the Blood Hunter last week in Dallas, Texas. Dusan's excited about SWE. Any chance I could interview Bob Lazar? There's a better chance I'll interview Terry Funk than Bob Lazar. But I am working on more UFO interviews. Any UFO news? Not much, but I am going to be doing some UFO interviews soon. This fan says Jones should have to fight Francis first with the winner fighting Stipe. Well, not going to happen that way. The winner is going to fight the winner of Stipe versus Francis, sorry. And I am a fan of Francis Ngannou, by the way. Mike D says, happy birthday, Piper. Yes, I do love my little doggy, Piper. I don't have any kids. The dog is as close as I have to a kid. Someone says there was a UFO sighting in Pennsylvania not too long ago. Well, I have to, I only report on the more credible ones. And yes, I make some mistakes here and there, but I do enjoy reviewing UFO stuff. But since I've been in the U.S. for over a week now, I've been incredibly busy, and I haven't had as much time to do as much UFO research as I do in Canada. Sam Lentz wants to see a Blood Hunter interview. Maybe. Who knows? I do know that Selena de la Renta, the lovely Spanish vixen from Puerto Rico, the same territory that the Blood Hunter is from, will be managing the Blood Hunter February 27th in Carthage, Texas, the East Texas WrestleFest. Mark Henry is going to be there. Jazz is going to be there. Teal Piper, Rosemary, Mil Mortes, Rodney Mack, the Boogeyman, Melina, my personal favorite diva, Trevor Murdoch, who, by the way, Trevor Murdoch is going to be appearing on the Inside SWE Fury podcast with me and James Beard next week. So I am looking forward to that. And the week after, it's going to be none other than Lacey Von Erich on the SWE Fury Inside SWE Fury podcast. That's going to be February 23rd and February 16th. Lacey Von Erich is coming to SWE Fury. Biggest Richard Cranium says, good morning to the Blood Hunter, wherever the Blood Hunter is. Dan O'Malley wants to know, can the Blood Hunter speak English? That is a question for Selena De La Renta, as she is his representative and does all of his negotiations for him, from my understanding. Here's a nice picture of the two of them together as you see the Blood Hunters. Cool boots there, and I'm going to sign off on this. Thank you for all your support. Working on a lot of good interviews while I'm out here. Tank Abbott, I'm going to be visiting next week, going on a hike with him. Probably going to hook up with Don Fry and Mark Kerr while I'm out here in Phoenix too. So wish everybody a good weekend. Screaming Baboon says Rodney Mack is not someone to fuck with. I agree. He is a serious competitor. And Sam Lentz says the Blood Hunter speaks violence. Well, from what I understand with that, I agree. Michael D. Jones says, I'm the best. I agree with that too. And on that note, have a great evening. I'll talk to you guys next time there's news.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video